said in regards to this subject matter. It's something that I'm strongly encouraging all of you, your families and your friends, to please participate next Friday. We've been doing this ongoing series here every third Friday of the month from 8 to 10 p.m. downstairs in the hall. It's for everyone, sisters upstairs and brothers downstairs. We're talking about the Messiah to the Messiah. We're talking about from Jesus, peace be upon him, to Dajjal. And the unique part of this work is something I did in 2011 was study and research the Bible and parts of the Old Testament, in which I am not presenting a story from the Islamic perspective. I'm presenting the story that Islam believes from the Bible itself. So we went from we did 3 parts already, 3 out of 13. Part 1 was, is Jesus God based on the New Testament? That was a whole 2-hour presentation. The following month we did, is God Jesus from the Old Testament? Last month we did the timeline of humanity on this earth and everything that has occurred in the last 1400 years. From the Prophet ﷺ to the Dawr Khilafah, to the Umayyads, Abbasids, the Ottomans, colonialism, what do we call that? Holy war waged by the Roman Catholics, the Crusades as they call them. The whole history is being panned out. Why? No one has the ability to grasp this topic of Dajjal until or unless they understand the total history of Isa alayhi salam, the current times, history, and the prophetic prophecies. Rasulullah told us everything. Rasulullah prophesied TVs. He prophesied cell phones. Everything. But we as Muslims, in reference to a subject matter which is cardinal to sending of the prophets. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah didn't send a messenger, but that messenger warned their people of? Anyone know? Dajjal. Every prophet warned their people of Dajjal. And Nuh alayhi salam warned his people of Dajjal. So when we say the Prophet ﷺ is Bashiran wa Nadhira, he is a giver of glad tidings and a warner. What were they warning about? From the first message of Rasulullah ﷺ, he was warning us of Dajjal. But it's an unfortunate reality that majority Muslims and a mass level of scholars across the world feel that staying ignorant on this topic and not talking about this topic is a best route. So my question is, every prophet came to tell us about Dajjal, but we, the ummah in which Dajjal is going to come, we don't want to talk about it? A sister tweeted last night, after watching I don't know how many episodes of this series, which I would not recommend anyone to watch, only because people who don't understand the prophetic text and the biblical text on this are going to get confused. This is what she tweeted. She said, we people, us meaning Muslims, should give this guy a chance. Dajjal? The guy is Dajjal. She said we should give him a chance because he looks so handsome. He's got long hair. He looks like a nice guy. Give him a chance. He's a nice guy. Dajjal means the greatest deceiver. And according to the director of this movie, that guy's name is Al-Masih Ad-Dajjal. That's the word.
So there is a movie right now?
There is a series on Netflix called The Messiah. And it's becoming a global discussion because whatever the Prophet ﷺ said about Dajjal, they've actually made a movie about it.
So is it a true story or they changed it?
Based on the 20 minutes I watched of the first episode, they have used everything Islam says, everything, but they have put Dajjal in the place of Isa alayhi salam.
Oh my God.
Because remember, Dajjal will come first, and he will say, I'm Isa. Then he'll say, I'm God. And people will gravitate towards. If you watch the 1 minute 43-second trailer, I think it is a 53-second trailer, the priest says, that guy is something else. He'd saved my daughter. And a priest is giving authenticity to this guy, which is showing that religion should follow this guy. The interesting part of it was Damascus was surrounded by ISIS, and they were going to bombard Damascus. And this guy, the so-called character of this movie, is standing up on what seems to be a broken minaret of a masjid. And then they show an image of Bashar al-Assad with a red line across his face, like crossing him out. And he's wearing yellow clothing. And he's saying, Allah's going to save you. Believe in Allah, He's going to save you in this. And what was interesting was, if you look at the prophetic hadith, when Rasulullah prophesied the return of Isa to Sham, to Syria, there was no masjid. There was no Muslims. It was a Roman Empire. And he said Jesus will descend wearing like a yellow color clothing on the eastern minaret of the mosque in Damascus, and then people will help him down. He will come from, the angels will bring him to the minaret, but then he'll call for people to bring him down. And then after, he will be told, lead the prayer. So no, you have your Imam. Imam should lead the Fajr prayer. Imam will lead the prayer, they'll open the door, and Dajjal will be standing there. And then Isa will chase Dajjal to Babilud in Israel, where he will kill Dajjal. But the interesting thing was, they depicted this guy with the yellow clothing, standing on the minaret, saying Allah's going to save them. Remember, deception will come with the name of Allah. It's not going to come as something different. He's not going to say, I'm a shaitan and I'm telling you to come to Jannah. No, he's going to use a religion. And that goes to show we're very ignorant on our religion. So statements like such, we should give him a chance. Makes sense of what the Prophet ﷺ said, that so many of us will gravitate towards him. He says at that time, lock your women into the home. Don't even go out. And he also said, if the strongest of you in belief was to hear of Dajjal coming from this way, run the other way. Because even the strongest in belief will confront them and he will deceive them. It's troubling times are coming, and it's remarkable to me that 1/1/2020, January 1st, they launched this series perfectly. The agenda is in front of us to deceive all of humanity. For that deception to occur, there's going to be mass destruction on this earth. There's going to be loss of trust on anyone, and people will be seeking someone they can trust to bring about peace on this earth, and that's when Dajjal is going to come. So, as we are saying, why are we doing the Ideal Muslimah? There's so many other books we could have done. There's so many other, we could have got ijazah and some type of hadith and stuff. Why are we doing this? Because if we are not rooted trees in the ground that's going to shake, we are going to fall on our face first. There's a reason why this book was selected. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen our roots, affirm our faith, and concrete our resolve in Him, that we weather the storms that we are currently in and the storm that's going to come. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So I think we'll continue then, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We're moving on to the soul, which is a very interesting topic. But before we do so, a recap. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about superstitions, that one of the things that taint the faith of a Muslimah and a Muslim, of course, is superstitions, believing in horoscopes, believing in all these things that the world seamlessly indoctrinates our children with, from wishing upon a star and everything else. Know that superstitions are not a part of our religion. People who believe in superstitions have rejected what the Prophet ﷺ was given. Whoever goes to a fortune teller and believes in what he says has disbelieved in that which was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a hadith in Abu Dawood. So there are many more hadith, and I think our majority of our class was discussing this topic, but know that this is a very, very deep topic. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put forth such strong words in reference to superstition? Why can't I just read 1 or 2 horoscopes or just believe in 1 or 2 fortune tellers? Because remember, your heart is the channel between you and Allah. And heart is where conviction and belief lies. Knowledge and understanding is in the brain. Belief and conviction is in the heart. Anything that goes into it taints it. If it is tainted, it is like going to a good restaurant and the white plate they put in front of you has a few marks on it. I ask of you, are you going to eat in that plate? No, you won't. You'll say, give me a new plate or wash this plate. Yes? That heart in which there's dirt, Allah will not reside in that heart. So if it's so easy to believe in what a human says, what a star is interpreted to say. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of that human, the creator of those stars, the creator of those signs, is harder to believe in. That in itself is already a problem. I don't blame every Muslim for having doubt in their ability to believe in Allah, because it's again a failure on behalf of those who propagate the religion, including myself, that we've made it seem that religion and connection to Allah is so hard. It's not. To get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so easy. It's easier to get Allah than it is to get the approval of your children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that easy. Because He's willing. See, the desire is already there in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to connect with you. The question is there a desire in me to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So this is where we're failing, because we feel that, nah, I can't do it, others are better than me, and I can't be good enough. That means you're saying Allah just created you as a waste, na'udhu billah. You're not waste. Allah created you because He wanted you to have that connection of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the conviction of Yusuf alayhi salam, the sabr and the patience of Musa alayhi salam and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's given you that ability by making you from this ummah. He's made you not only from this ummah, He's put you at the worst of times this ummah has ever seen. And they're only going to get worse. So don't think that your presence is a curse on this earth. Your presence is the blessing that Allah wants you to show and change the world towards betterness. The question is, are we willing to do that? So for that, the last paragraph before the soul is the Muslim woman never stops reading and studying. And that's why I started with the topic of Dajjal. If you don't know anything, join the class. If you don't know anything, pick up a book and read. I'd rather you read a book structured on topics rather than watching 20 different YouTube videos. You know why? Because the 20 different YouTube videos will actually make you more confused. A book is more structured, it's laid out, it has a beginning, has a middle, has an end, where YouTube videos are mostly now constructed of parts, bits and parts of things, and it's only going to confuse you more. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to repeat things how many times? 3 times, right? He would repeat something 3 times. He repeated the issue of Dajjal over 23 times. And he kept on saying, it seems that you don't understand. I believe you still don't get it. Dajjal will come from there. He'll be like this. He's a human. He's a human. He's a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Muslim woman does not let her household duties and the burdens of motherhood prevent her from reading widely, because she understands that reading is the source which will help her mind with nourishment and knowledge, which is needed in order to flourish and grow. Now the question is, what is knowledge? Knowledge is everything. Anything you read is knowledge. If you're reading about medicine, if you're reading about health, if you're reading about food, if you're reading about the economy, if you're reading about housing, if you're reading about current day affairs, if you're reading a book on hadith, it's all knowledge. It's teaching you something. But if you're not inclined, see what happens, we go from reading about these things to reading about celebrities, who won the Golden Globe, who said Allahu Akbar on the stage, who called out Facebook, who called out Mark Zuckerberg. You know, again, I don't know how I know all that stuff. I think I watch a few news clips on that. But the thing is, like, we get so caught up in then other people's lives, and we get caught up in trends, and we get caught up then from there into movies and music, until there is an inability in us to even pick up a book and read. Many people cannot pick up a book and read. Forget a book, they can't pick up you know how bad it gets? You can't even pick up a packet or a package of food or something and read the 3 steps of recipes. Like Betty Crocker bake a cake, 1, 2, 3 steps. They can't read that. They'll say, how come it's not coming out? Did you read the box? No, I don't have time to read the box. Guess what? This is a sign of deprivation of the sources that lead to knowledge. When you don't have the patience to read, iqra, and you don't have the ability to broaden your understanding, you go from knowledge to waste of time, to entertainment of the eyes and ears, to not able to read anything. You know, they always say it's all in the fine print. When was the last time any one of us read something in the fine print? I remember my father, this was his practice every time. Whenever he had to sign on some paper, even if it was a car when he would buy a car, he would sit in the finance office and read everything. And they're like, even that guy's like, okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. My father's gonna sit there and read it. Because if I'm putting my pen to paper, I better know what I'm putting my pen to paper. Well, everywhere you go, well, just sign here, just sign here, just sign here. And all we're doing is just signing off. So even when you go to rent a car, you go to a rental car company and they're telling you to sign off on these places. Well, this basically means you don't want this and this and this and this. Have you ever read what it is that you don't want? They're giving you a synopsis or summary of it. Have you actually read it? Why? Because we don't have the inclination to reading it. Just say, for example, we sign off on something that tomorrow comes against us. So you have to think about these things. If I don't have the inclination or the desire to read, you know what I need to read? Rabbi zidni ilma. Oh Allah, increase my knowledge. Read that dua all the time. Rabbi zidni ilma. Oh Allah, increase my knowledge, so that Allah will again put in your heart the desire to read anything. There should never be a day that goes by that you haven't read something. Read the back of a cereal box. Read something. Read. It's important. It will teach us something tomorrow, and it will kind of collaborate with something else, and it will bring forth a broader understanding of the religion and yourself and your health and whatever else it may be, inshallah. The Muslim woman who understands that seeking knowledge is a duty required by her, it is a duty required of her by her faith, can never stop nourishing her mind with knowledge, no matter how busy she may be with the housework or with taking care of her children. She steals the odd moment, here and there, to sit down with a good book or a useful magazine, not People's Magazine, a useful magazine, so that she may broaden her horizon with some useful academic, social, or literary knowledge, thus increasing her intellectual abilities. If you don't have time to read something about Islam, it doesn't have to be just Islam. I used to love reading Reader's Digest. National Geographic. We have a library in our basement in Canada. That's all we read. And my grandfather was collecting it after, I think it was the second or third edition. We have from then all the way into the 90s until he passed away. Just keep reading. Why not? You're learning something, right? And it will kind of connect tomorrow. So now we're moving on from the features of a Muslimah to the body of a Muslimah to taking care of the health. We've covered quite a bit, mashallah, exercising and grooming one's hair and taking care of one's mouth and teeth. These were all things about the external features of a Muslimah that represent her well-being, that represents her confidence, that represents her gratitude to Allah for who she is. Now we're going inside, and that is the soul. The Muslim woman does not neglect to polish her soul through worship, dhikr, and reading the Quran. She never neglects to perform acts of worship at the appointed times. Just as she can take care of her body and mind, she also takes care of her soul, and she understands that the human being is composed of a body, mind, and a soul, and that all three deserve appropriate attention. A person may be distinguished by the balance he or she strikes between body, mind, and soul, so that none is cared for at the expense of another. Striking this balance guarantees a development of a sound, mature, and moderate character. Look at our society right now. We have time to, let's be real, we have time to do our makeup, we have time to dress up, we have time to do our hair, we have time for all that stuff. But then we don't have time to take care of our mental health or our spiritual health. Prayer says 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes for Dhuhr, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, right? The Farah, 5 minutes. Does any one of you put on a timer when it comes to dressing up and getting ready? No. Matter of fact, it's like, I'll be done in 10 minutes, 20, 35, 45. You understand? There's no time limit there. I'm not going to make fun of this. It's just a natural thing. But if we don't put a time on how much, if we don't put a limit, a timer on our physical care, where there's nothing wrong with that, how come there is a timer on our spiritual care? Or how come there is no time for spiritual care? You look at our society right now, it's all about fitness and health and how good you look. Men and women are working out to make their bodies look good. But as the author said, if you are going to do one by compromising the other, there's no balance. So we are making our bodies stronger, but our souls weaker. And the mental health of our society is at the worst that it's ever been. Ever been. Suicides has become the norm of our world. Remember, if there's no strong spirituality in a person, then the body is at highest risk. That's why Rasulullah said, لَيْسَ الشَّدِيدُ بِالسُّرْعَةِ. A strong person isn't the one that can take another person down fast. إِنَّمَا الشَّدِيدُ الَّذِي يَمْلِكُ نَفْسَهُ عِنْدَ الْغَضَبِ. The strong person is who can control their anger at the time of anger. What was he alluding towards? He was saying, don't let your physical strength or abilities deceive you from your spiritual and mental ones. Because yes, you could have a strong body and you could be a threat to someone weaker than you, or you can stand up to someone who may confront you, but your spiritual strength needs a lot more exercises than the body does. And Rasulullah SAW, never in our religion will you have seen him say, worship more, eat less, go to the masjid more, sleep less. Matter of fact, there was 2 incidents where one of them, I think, was the wife of the Prophet ﷺ who tied that rope between the 2 pillars of the masjid, and she was praying in between those ropes. So if she would fall asleep, she would sleep, and when she wake up, she's back praying. And there was another incident of another cloth that the Prophet ﷺ tied, and he said, what is this? And the people said, this is her thing. He said, who is that lady? They said, well, she tied this here so she could stand up and pray. And the Prophet ﷺ said, cut it down. You only pray when you are alert. When you're tired, go to sleep. Because you may be out to make a dua, and you may make a dua against you. When you're tired and you're exhausted and you're saying something, you might end up saying something wrong. And that might be the accepting moment, this a moment of acceptance, and it might mess you up. So he said, pray when you are ready and you're strong. When you're tired, go to sleep. Look at our deen. Our deen didn't say, and I don't know where we get this from, our religion is disconnecting us from the world. No, our religion is not. Our religion is actually connecting us to the world in a way we should be connected. We should be connected with our world, not, rear-ending the world like we're stuck in the world. No, it's like a car accident today. We're stuck inside the world. We're not supposed to be stuck in the world, nor are we about rahbaniyah, that we're supposed to stay like 25 feet away from the world. You're supposed to be connected like a train is, move together, but not in a way that you have to keep on clashing with each other. So our deen teaches us one thing, if you want to remember, our religion teaches us is the word balance. Balance between mental health, physical well-being, and spiritual well-being. What bothers me is today people who say they're religious will say it's only about the spirituality and they never take care of their body. And then they say, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decision. Huh? If I'm sick, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's, it's qadr of Allah. If my heart fails, it's a qadr of Allah. Na'udhu billah. This is not religion. This is toxic religion. Rasulullah ﷺ at the age of 63 only had a few white hairs. His body was still buff and strong. His soul was connected with Allah. And with all the problems he had mental stability. Now you would tell me, what religion is that? That is their religion. But then to say, I can be super religious, wear dirty clothes, don't iron my clothes, my hair looks like the Addams family or worse, and you know what, I'm miserable, my clothing smell, and I'm saying I'm a person of Allah. No, you're not. May the shaitan run from you before you forget the shaitan is on you. A religious person is well kept in their body, their hair, their clothing, their health, their mental state, and their spiritual state. None of these 3 can compromise the other. Spirituality cannot compromise mental health cannot compromise physical health, and physical well-being cannot compromise the 2 of them. Every Muslim and Muslimah should exercise. Everyone should be exercising. There's enough Muslims and Muslimas in Plano. There should be a women's gym, for Allah's sake. Why isn't there? Because exercising is part of our religion. Aisha radiallahu anha is racing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the outskirts of Medina. She's like, I'm challenging you. Let's go for a race. What, she was sitting at home her whole life and she got up and said, let's go have a race? No, she was fit. This was our religion. But our religion is, oh, haram, haram, haram. Remember, on the Day of Judgment, this body is amana. It doesn't belong to me. Allah will say, what did you do with my body I gave to you? Oh Allah, I was in your religion. He'll say, no, you're not. Because religion was also taking care of the body. And while you take care of the body, don't deprive yourself from your salah. Don't deprive yourself from dhikr. Don't deprive yourself from spiritually cleansing your heart by making tawbah, ruju' ila Allah, all the things that you need to do in your soul. Because the stronger your soul is, the stronger your body is. And the stronger your soul and body is, the more stable your mind is. Imagine the mind being between the two fingers of the body and the soul. If two fingers are holding this mind, you understand how weak it is, right? It's like a diamond ring being held up by four prongs made of white gold, whatever else. But the way they put it in and the way they press it in is that they try to hold it. But realistically, it's these four little weaklings holding this $1,000 or $10,000 stone. Imagine that there was just two things, two small little fingers holding the mental state. It's already shaky. Imagine if you remove one of them, that is called spirituality. Imagine you move the second of them, which is physical well-being. The mind will fall. The reason Islam was well received and people became hakims like Imam Ash-Shafari Thani rahimahullah, he was known as Hakim al-Ummah, was because they had an ability to talk about physical medicine and also spiritual medicine. Tib ruhaniya, the medicine of the soul, is really something. It's really a big thing. There's no pill out there that can give you mental health as much as the spiritual elements of healing can give you mental stability. Because that it has nothing to do with the body. It has everything to do with the soul. So this is exactly what our Islam presented to us. The sad reality is, since society doesn't want to acknowledge it, we feel outcasts if we do, and because of that, we don't talk about these things anymore. So he made such a beautiful point here. Balance is the word that I want us to remember. So let's go into soul. How do we upkeep our soul? Topic 1, she performs acts of worship regularly and purifies her soul. The Muslim woman pays due attention to her soul and polishes it through worship, doing so with a pure and calm approach that will allow the spiritual meanings to penetrate deep into her being. Now, this is a very beautiful word, he said. Pure and calm approach. When you're praying, you are allowing the words that you're reciting, the words that you're listening to, the words that you're uttering to penetrate into you. So it's like watering a plant. Imagine if I took this bottle right now and there's a small plant and I just do this, squeeze it, right? And it all comes out. It's all gonna just splash everywhere. I cannot, and this is harmful. They have the watering jugs, smaller sprout. It takes time. Why? Because that soil cannot be hit with like a hurricane force wind. You have to do it slowly. And you have to put right water. You cannot just take toilet water or something. You take clean water and you put it slowly so that the water may penetrate and absorb into the soil so that the roots can gently be nourished so that this plant or tree can grow. When I'm praying salah, it's like this. I'm just dropping the water bottle on top of the plant. When I'm doing dhikr, I'm dropping the water bottle on the plant. You're destroying your spirituality. Imagine when you say Allahu Akbar, this plant of your soul is like leaning down, and as you pray, it starts rising. It starts showing life. And then you finish your prayer, you make your dhikr istighfar, it's standing back up. This is because you gave 10 minutes of your time to slowly nourish your soul. But if you're dumping cases of water on it, Without even opening it, you're literally killing the soul. So as he says, due attention to the soul is with a pure and calm approach that will allow spiritual meanings. Remember, okay, granted, it's nice, it's good to know what the Quran is saying. It's good. But I challenge everyone till today, as I do in my holistic class. The Sahabas never opened Arabic institutions. They didn't go to Africa and Europe and say, okay, the Prophet Muhammad's Arabic 101. They didn't go to Indonesia and say Arabic 101. Correct me if I'm wrong. They taught life. They taught prayer was doing this, even though you don't know what the words are saying to you. So it's good to know. I'm not saying don't know. It's good to know. But today we've made our deen in society, especially in America. Why read the Quran when you don't know what it's saying? What, you don't trust Allah? We sign on everything we don't know what's saying. We just talked about it. We sign every document without reading it because we trust Enterprise and Avis and Bank of America and Chase. We trust them blindly. But Allah, this is His words. Allah's words are not Him, nor is it His creation. Allah's word is غير مخلوق. It's not creation, it's His words. We can't say it's Allah, but it's a part of Him. And we are not trusting Him. I think I need to learn first, or then just read the English translation. This is a brainwashed mindset in our Islam that's depriving us of looking at what Allah said and reading what Allah said. So when you read the Quran, you should know this much. When I say Allahu Akbar and I'm reciting my Surah Fatiha, I am slowly, calmly nourishing my soul. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't reveal it in Arabic so we all become masters in Arabic language. He revealed it so the people who were lost and found the path can teach us the power of those words, not the meaning of the words. So again, our ummah is focusing on the wrong place, and I'm a critic all the time for that, and I never get the answers. That's why I keep on saying it. We have lost the essence, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, a person who recites the Quran perfectly with tajweed, which of course is important, is essential, مَنْ لَمْ يُجَوِّدْ بِالْقُرْآنِ فَهُوَ آثِمٌ, whoever doesn't recite the Quran perfectly with tajweed is a sinner. But the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever recites it perfectly gets 1 reward, and the person who reads it and struggles gets 2 rewards. He didn't say, you're not good enough. He said, so long you try to make it good, Allah's still giving you. So open those Qurans again. We had a challenge. Did we not have a winter break challenge? Read the Quran. And we were talking about Kashmir. And here we are talking about Iran. The world is gone in chaos. And the only thing that could bring it back is not protesting. It's not advocacy. It's not civic engagement. It's not hoping that the right president gets in the White House. It's about reading the Quran again and allowing the words of Allah to nourish the angels of Allah to restore goodness on this earth. There's a reason why when gatherings of Islam and Quran occur, angels run there. You know why? They need food. Your remembrance of Allah is their food. The stronger you make your angels, the stronger their presence on this earth is felt. We always talk about amantu billahi. We talk about amantu bi kitabihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawm akhir. No one talks about wa malaikatihi. We, in our faith, we bring faith on Allah's angels. Who are Allah's angels? No one talks about that. Yeah, we talk about Jibril alayhi and Mikael alayhi and Israfil and Israel. We know all those angels, but what's the purpose of angels? The angels are the force of Allah on this earth. The more you spiritually empower yourself, the more you are strengthening the angels who Allah will then use to bring goodness on this earth. But so long you deprive yourself from Quran and Salah and Zakat and Ibadah, you are depriving angels of their nourishment, and they're not going to move. You're not the force. Allah's angels are the force. If you don't believe me, read Surah Al-Imran, read Surah Baqarah, read all the surahs that talk about Badr and Uhud and everything else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent angels down. He didn't send the Sahabas to Al-Qaeda training camp. No, they didn't need to train. The stories of Sahabas went to war. There's one Sahabi, he was so short, he had a broken sword. When he was walking, the sword was dragging on the floor. You think he's going to kill anyone? He couldn't even save it. He couldn't even pick up the sword. He couldn't pick up the sword to save his life. Forget killing someone. They didn't need to. They had Allah. Allah had His angels ready for them. So we need Allah's angels back on this earth again. We need more gatherings of remembrance of Allah and connection to Allah, even if it's alone, ourselves, or with our family in our homes, or gatherings of such in the masjid. Let the angels come and nourish themselves. Let our souls nourish themselves so that the angels in our souls are connected with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She removes herself from the hustle and bustle of life and concentrates on her worship as much as she is able to. Remember, not as much as she should, as much as you can. What he's saying here, you have to make an effort. You have to make some effort. You cannot say, well, I have no time. No, just like you made time for everything, make some time for your salah. Right? 10 minutes Fajr, 10 minutes Dhuhr, 10 minutes Asr, 10 minutes Maghrib, 10 minutes Isha. That's 50 minutes. Okay, with dhikr and Quran, let's make it 1 hour. All you need to give Allah is 1 hour in 24 hours. You have 23 hours left. Sleep the 8 hours. That leaves you with 15 hours. Spend 5 hours with the kids. Spend 5 hours on your body and your home and your cleaning and your cooking. Spend 5 hours reading, or I don't know, just do something, shopping. But give 1 hour to Allah. 1 hour. That's not far-fetched. That's simple. That's realistic. That's doable. So, when she prays, she does it so with calmness of heart and a clear mind. There's a reason why Fajr and Dhuhr and Isha have Sunnah before the prayer. Because Isha, you're now tired. Fajr, you just woke up. Dhuhr is in the middle of the day when you're doing a lot of work. The Sunnah is to bring the calmness and the clarity so that the Farad could be more connected, right? The whole purpose of prayer isn't there's 4 minutes left, but I could get it done in 3.5, so in 30 seconds I'll start, right? This is a joke. So what happens is there's two things in Islam: the obligation, the reward, and the benefit. Sorry, 3 things. Write this down: the obligation, the reward, the benefit. A prayer which is prayed in the worst of manner, obligation will be fulfilled. So you have obligation, reward, benefit. 3 things. So if a person goes up and down, left and right, Allah will take the obligation away from them. Meaning, did they pray Dhuhr? Yes, they prayed Dhuhr. They did it. Is this a car? It's a car. It doesn't even have an engine that functions, but it's a car. It's still defined as a car. It could be a broken up car, a car that's just, it's a bad car, but it's a car, right? Allah said that was a prayer. Was there a reward for that prayer? No. No reward for the prayer. There might be someone who will come to the masjid and pray because the congregation, so they'll pray with the Imam nicely, slowly, because it's not their choice. If it was their choice, then they will do what they always do, like the men do downstairs. The Imam is about to go in ruku, they're already in ruku. The Imam gets up from ruku, they're already hitting the ground. I'm like, is this the grand prayer or something? Everyone just keep on jumping down, for Allah's sake, wait up. So, if you prayed behind the Imam nicely in the masjid or something, you got the obligation done, and you also got some reward, right? The question isn't the reward. The question isn't the obligation. The question is, am I getting a benefit from it? That's what you should be aspiring for. What's the benefit? That when I say Allahu Akbar, I forget the world. When I say Allahu Akbar, my heart feels tranquility and peace. When I say Allahu Akbar, all my worries are gone. Like, I couldn't care less. I'm in a zone of peace. When I say Salam, I'll get back to work. But at this moment, I don't care, because it's me and Allah. And there's no one better to be with at this time than with Allah. So the question is, ask yourself, am I fulfilling the obligation? Yes or no? Am I getting some reward? Yes or no? But am I getting a benefit from my salah? That's what we're aspiring for. That whenever you stand up to pray, it's with calmness of heart and clearness of mind. The two things the author said: calmness of heart. Your heart's not racing, I need to go do that. No, I need to do nothing now. My heart is in its place. And clearness of mind, when I'm praying, even though I don't know the meaning, ask people who know the meaning. Does that improve or enhance the quality of their salah? No. It improves the understanding of what someone's saying, but that doesn't enhance the quality of salah. It's like a person having vitamins in their house. It improves their medicine cabinet, but it doesn't bring health. You can know the meaning, which is fine. It won't, see, the Sahabas like Bilal Habshi and Suhaib Rumi and all of them, their salah was salah because they knew this much. What I'm uttering, I'm actually feeding my soul. What I'm uttering, I'm putting light into my heart. What I am reading is my Allah and I talking. That's enough. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know more than that. That's enough for me to sign the paper. That's enough for me to just put my signature or my initials. It's good enough. And so, how can I get calmness of heart and clearness of mind? The author will, inshallah, give us some pointers. But till then, salah is not an obligation. Salah is not about rewards. It's about the benefits I can receive. So that her soul may be refreshed by the means of the words of the Quran, dhikr and tasbih that she is mentioning. Then she sits alone for a little while. She sits alone for a little while, praising and glorifying Allah, and reciting some ayat from His book, and meditating upon the beautiful meanings of the words that she is reciting. Now, this is another point here. I talk about this in a holistic class. One of the exercises we have for Surah Fatiha is to sit after prayer. You've just prayed. Did you know the most important part of this whole process of getting up from your home, putting on your clothes, making wudu, getting in your car, coming to the masjid, praying your sunnah, praying behind the imam was for what? Sitting after prayer. Even if you're at home, you got up, you wore your abaya, you made wudu, you're standing to pray. You've done all this for what you do after the prayer. A symbol of your calmness and your connection, your gratitude to Allah for the opportunity is after salah, you remain sitting. And you make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. And you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because a person who's in that state, the angels are making dua for that person. So long they sit after prayer. But how many of us have to get up and run? I understand that there will be times. Baby's crying, something happened, we have to go pick up the kids from school. Those things happen. But this shouldn't be a habitual daily practice for every prayers. Yes, get a question.
Is that just after the fard?
After the fard.
Or just the whole salah?
The fard prayer. As soon as the fard prayer is done, you remain sitting in the same spot. You don't move. If you have to kind of stretch out, for example, or change your feet a bit, that's fine. But the hadith says so long the person doesn't move or it doesn't break their wudu, the angels make dua for the person. Allah forgive the person. Allah have mercy on the person. So this is such a beautiful thing.
Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
I have cats, and they tend to come in front of me when I'm praying. So, is that okay? Or, I mean, I try to pray in a place where there's no space in front of me.
So yeah, that would be okay. So for example, so long you put in front of you, like if you're praying by a wall, to make sure that no one passing commits a sin by doing so. If the animal passes, fine. Yeah, my friend in Port Charlotte in Florida, he used to have his cat, and every time he prayed, the cat prayed with him. Just lies right down and prays next to him. SubhanAllah, these are signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's khalq. They are Allah's creation. They know Allah more than I know Allah. Think about it. It's just amazing. This is Allah's creation. So yes, as he said, reflection on prayer after praying. In addition, she checks her attitude and behavior every now and then, correcting herself if she has done anything wrong or fallen short in some way. Thus, her worship will bring about the desired results of purity of soul, cleansing of her sins, and freeing her from the bonds of shaitan, whose constant whispering may destroy a person. If she makes a mistake or stumbles from the straight path, a true Muslim woman soon puts it right, seeks forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, renounces her sin or error, and repents sincerely. This is the attitude of righteous, Allah-fearing Muslim women. So the beautiful thing he's saying here is that when you're reading Salah, it should help you gauge your life and your actions and your words. If there are people out there whose character is bad and flawed, doesn't matter how many times they would just pray for the sake of praying, if they don't connect prayer as the remedy for their character will only continue to intensify in illness. You know, some people, their character is such, it's so deplorable. Doesn't matter how rich or powerful or influential they may be in society, they're just deplorable human beings. And the thing is that Salah is an instrument to change one's character, to change one's ways, to change one's habits and attitude. The way that it can help is not buying Tylenol and putting in the cupboard, but actually knowing that Tylenol is used for a headache, it's used if you have a fever, and then using it. Salah has to be taken out of the cupboard and know that Salah can help me with my voice, it could help me with my language, it could help me with my actions, it could help me with my ways, and then take it accordingly to make the habit. So you have to first introspect, and then you have to reflect, and then you have to see the change you want, and then you have to pursue that change. And that happens when you realize Salah is the tool for it, and also simultaneously when you realize that you are not perfect and that change needs to be brought upon in you. All of us need to change. None of us here are perfect. I'm the worst of all of you, and I'm fine to say it. We all need to change. If we feel we're the best, then we are the worst. And if we feel we don't have to check our character, it's like in Texas here, they have that state inspection. You have to go for a state inspection every year. In order for that state inspection to pass, you need to do your oil change every 5,000 miles. In order for that to be good, you need to check on your brakes and your tires and your alignment and everything. It's a constant effort. You can't take a car after 40,000 miles that you didn't do an oil change, you didn't check the tires, you didn't do alignment, you didn't do all the necessary things to a car, and assume that inspection will just pass. They'll fail you. Why? Because you contributed towards the destruction of your car by neglecting it. You didn't break it, you just neglected it. Today we're neglecting ourselves. We're neglecting our own rectification. We feel that others need to change before I feel I should change. Look, others may not change because it's not in your power to change. Question is, are you willing to change? Do you feel that you need to change? Because like if it's in a marriage or if it's with the children or if it's with neighbors, if it's with family, if it's with friends, no, until they don't change, I'm not going to change. You already lost. Because you've banked on their ability to change for your ability to change. And that's not how it goes. You have the power, but what you just did is you overrided it by saying that you overrode it by saying that I'm perfect, they're not. They need to be perfect first, and then I'll consider if I remember if I should become perfect. You know, I was thinking today also, and I like to share these things. What's the one heavenly feature that you should have? Let's see here, sorry. What is the one heavenly feature that we all should have or wish to have in this world? And if we were to ask that question, if there's one thing in Jannah that Allah could give to us on this earth, what would it be? Think about this. If Allah was to give you one thing of paradise on this earth, what would you ask for? I'm sure some would have said youth, food, money, things. house, right? There's a lot of things. One thing I figured out this morning, if there's one thing of paradise that I wish that I could have on this earth would be the love and unity amongst humanity. وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِم مِّنْ غِلٍّ إِخْوَانًا عَلَى سُرُرٍ مُتَقَابِلِينَ. If there's one thing Allah will do in the route to paradise, is He'll take out the hatred from our hearts and make us brothers and sisters that we could sit in front of each other in honor. If Allah was to give us one thing from heaven on this earth, I wish He could give us that. Because our world needs it. There's just so much bitterness in our world. And you know what? Allah sent us with Islam in this time because we can be instruments of eliminating as much as we can of it. But unfortunately, the Muslim community today is the heart and root and hub of bitterness. Our masajid spread bitterness. The politics spreads bitterness. In our deen, we use it as sects and divides to spread bitterness. It shouldn't have been so. Now, I never grew up in the East, nor was I born in the East, so I don't understand, still don't understand, why in Islam we have so many sects. I don't understand that. It's not something we read. It's something that it just baffles me. We say we have one Allah, one Quran, one Rasul, one deen. We have so many sects. Okay, fine, some may find inclination to a certain practice or certain model or certain book or certain person, but that doesn't supersede the entire life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And even if the inclination is there, that's perfectly fine. Does that mean it gives you the right to write off others who may not be like you? To belittle others who may not be like you? To close doors on others who may not be like you? Think about this. A brother came to me before I went on vacation and he cried and he said he saw my apology. And I'm like, I'm fine, what's up? He said that all this year that you've been here as Imam, I wrote you off. I didn't trust you. That you're not an Imam, you're not a qualified scholar because you don't follow the manhaj in the way that I expect the deen to be. I said to him, fine, it doesn't hurt me. I've been an Imam for 18 years, sisters. It doesn't bother me anymore. But what bothers me is our ummah is not working together. We're just working against each other. And that brings people like me at times to a point to say, is it conducive to continue in that same platform? Where we're just dividing and dividing and dividing. Where we are causing more hatred and disruption and disunity, where we have no time on this earth now but to figure things out and make them right. If we identify ourselves, let me say, even like for example, the predominantly Sunni sect that goes to these masajid here in Collin County. If we are to even say these words, I identify myself part of this masjid and not that masjid, that will ultimately become a source of divide. Think about it. I go to IECC, but I don't want to go Epic, for example. IECC is my masjid. Nothing's your masjid. Every house of Allah is house of Allah. When we even say these words, what will it do to our children tomorrow? They will belittle the other masjids. This is my imam, those are not my imams. It's a so-called innocent, ignorant statement. But tomorrow they'll say this person's Islam is better than those people's Islam. We're in the year 2020. We're in the year 1441. How come we haven't figured out our Islam yet? We're fighting and bickering so much. It's like, the brother asked me in Arizona the other day, he said to me, do you think the time has come that Rasulullah said to just leave, take your goats and just leave? And I'm like, that time is around the corner. Because there's only so much you can wish for and try to do. But if the people are not understanding the severity of the matter, the intensity of what's in front of us, hands up. We have to figure out our Islam. We have to stop saying this person is Shia, this is Sunni, this is Ahmadi, this is Brelwi, this is Wahhabi, this is Deobandi. There's only one Islam, the Islam of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We need to get back to that. There has to be maturity. There has to be respect if people differ with you, but you shouldn't be the cause of differing. You shouldn't be the cause of difference. You shouldn't be the reason that people are dividing. We have to figure this out. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in regards to the whispers of shaitan, in chapter 7, verse 201 states, those who fear Allah, when a thought of evil from shaitan assaults them, they bring Allah to remembrance when lo, they see aright. When you are spiritually strong, you will know the infiltration of shaitan. How many of us have our cell phones and computers and we don't even know that we may have a virus or we're hacked? We don't even know. But a person who's a computer expert knows a virus is there, knows that there is an imminent threat coming in. And they could then go through and loop around all the webs that they make to find out where it's coming from. A believer is like that. إِذَا مَسَّهُمْ if shaitan touches them, تَذَكَّرُوا, they remember, they know. Shaitan, this is from shaitan. We can't even identify shaitan from righteousness. Remember the story of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala, we talked about it, right? That Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ told him to take care of the fitrah, the dates and the barley that was given for fitrah, and that old man came and said, give me some food. He said, no, I'm going to take you to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, I'm hungry, give it to me. So he gave it to him. Second day he came and he said, I'm going to take you to the Prophet ﷺ, because Prophet ﷺ asked him in the morning, what happened to your prisoner? He said, oh, he was hungry. He goes, he lied. He's coming to you tomorrow. He came again. He goes, I'm hungry, but I have kids who are hungry also. He said, I'm going to take you to the Prophet ﷺ and grab them. And he said, no, I need my kids, please. So he gave it to him and told him, get lost. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, what happened to your prisoner last night, Abu Hurairah? Oh, he complained that his family was hungry. I had to let him go. Okay, he lied. He's coming to you again. Third night, Abu Hurairah's got his stick. He's like, I'm going to get this guy. He comes. He's like, no, last time. Let me just take some food. Let me take some stuff. But I'm going to teach you something. Teach you something for free. Well, that's great. Because Abu Hurairah, his weakness was learning. That was his weakness. He would pass out in the masjid of Rasulullah with hunger because it's not like he couldn't work. It's not like he was on social security or disability. He was perfectly fine. But he was sitting in the masjid for any opportunity to learn something. And so he said, I'll teach you this Ayatul Kursi. So he taught him Ayatul Kursi. He said, if you recite this at night, the shaitan can't come to you. In the morning, the Prophet ﷺ said, what happened to your prisoner? He said, look, he came. I let him go because he taught me something. Because what did he teach you? He taught me Ayatul Kursi. The Prophet ﷺ said, he told you the truth, but he's a liar. Do you know who was coming to you for 3 days, Abu Hurairah? He said, no. He goes, that was the shaitan. When we succumb to our emotional state, many a times, that's the shaitan. We'll pause for this, inshallah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. So look, a Sahabi who related thousands of hadith to us, was victim of his emotional state to the extent that an individual, their family, their poverty of that family, and even the enticement of knowledge, like I'll entice you with knowledge, made him do what the Prophet ﷺ told him not to do. If Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu could slip, do you and I feel that we'll never slip? We're wearing ice skates, skating on Lake Michigan, which is not even fully frozen right now, and we assume that we're not even going to forget slipping. Have you forgotten that the lake could crack and you could fall straight inside? That's where we are right now. That's where I am right now. So what level of confidence should I have? I always say this, the deception is here. We are living in deception. And you have to start questioning everything and looking at it from the opposite angle. Our Islam is hijacked. And we have hijacked it through all these different sects and ideologies and personalities. Rasulullah said in a hadith, Inna Deena Yusr. Islam is easy. Islam is easy. It's not something you need to go to Harvard for. وَلَنْ يُشَادَّ الدِّينَ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا غَلَبَهُ. Anyone who makes Islam complicated, it overwhelms them. This is not a theological discussion, faith of you need to sit down and debate it, and you need to sit down and talk about it with terminologies that fly over a majority of the people's heads. It's simple. It's impactful. It's effective. It's easy. That any Bedouin, any villager, any city person, any learned person, or unlettered person can understand this deen. That's the beauty of our Islam. So we need to get back to this, and we need to get back to this because we need to identify what is from Allah and what is from the shaitan. There's so many stories that Sheikh Zakaria rahimahullah has written in his books that highlight how the most knowledgeable of people and the most so-called God-fearing of people succumbed to shaitan, not even knowing that shaitan was actually tricking them along the way. That is why this book helps us create structure. If you live within structure in your life, inshallah, you will be in walls of protection. If you fail to have that structure in your life, you'll be in the open woods, vulnerable for the wolves and the fox to eat you. The Prophet ﷺ talked about the sheep that are together, and then the one sheep that's separate, the fox, goes after that one. We need to have this reinforcement of unity, togetherness, and a stable and strong path. That is why the Prophet ﷺ used to tell his companions, Jaddidu imanakum, renew your faith. He was asked, how do we renew our faith, O Rasulullah ﷺ? كيف نجدد إيماننا يا رسول الله? He said, by frequently repeating La ilaha illallah. How many times do I recite La ilaha illallah in a day? Ask yourself. At least 100 times you should at least make this dhikr, La ilaha illallah. Rasulullah ﷺ is telling his Sahaba, Allah said in the Quran, He will never punish us while Rasulullah ﷺ is with us. Right? And Allah will never punish us وَهُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ, and they make istighfar. So not only were the Sahaba making istighfar, but they had the Prophet ﷺ, so they had double layer of security. But even then, the Prophet ﷺ saying to them, renew your faith. He said, how do we renew our faith? He said, keep on saying La ilaha illallah. At least 100 times a day, say La ilaha illallah. Make this our homework. When you're driving, the beauty of America is you're driving, you're in line in the grocery store, in Target, or you're in Costco returning what you brought from Christmas. Whatever it is, stand in those lines and say La ilaha illallah. This one Rami guy, I don't know who he is, but it's been tweeted. He said Allahu Akbar when he got the Golden Globe. Everyone is so upbeat that he said Allahu Akbar on the stage. You should be saying Allahu Akbar every day. The fact that we never introduced Allahu Akbar's greatness to humanity, it became a curse on us. Why? Because that's what the terrorists said when they blew up buildings. If you say Allahu Akbar while sitting on a plane praying, you'll have the marshal and the air hostess will take off her heels and start beating you because you might be a terrorist. What is this? La ilaha illallah. Say it before you lose the effectiveness of it in this world. So this is what Rasulullah is telling the Sahaba, say La ilaha illallah frequently. The Muslim woman also seeks the help of Allah in strengthening and purifying her soul by constantly worshiping and remembering Allah, checking herself, and keeping in mind at all times what will please Allah. So whatever pleases Him, she does, and whatever angers Him, she refrains from. Thus she will remain on the straight path, never deviating from it or doing wrong. I want to end with one thing. All of us have circumstances. Circumstances sometimes intensify. Sometimes when it rains, it does shower, and sometimes there's sun. But why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala test us so much? Because He wants each of those tests to serve as an opportunity for us to turn to Allah. How do you pass in your test? Turn to Allah. Remember Him. If in your tests and the thickness of those storms, in the thickness of the fog of your test, if you can't remember Allah, Allah's not punishing you. He is turning it up a notch so that you could remember Him. Because if you will be able to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those tough times, you will remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the good times. And when you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the good times, if the next test comes about, you'll remember Allah during that time also. The whole thing is one. Turn back to Allah. Turning to Allah will not, and our deen doesn't promise this. It's not like how many sects of Christianity say, Jesus will do this and He'll do that for you, He'll make you rich. No, our deen does not promise. Matter of fact, none of the prophets ﷺ promised that bringing faith will solve your problems. It doesn't happen in any religion. It's all a hoax if they say, buy this cloth, buy this holy water, and it's going to solve your problems. What the deen is meant to do is for you to come to terms with and accept the decree of Allah being what it is. And when you could do that, you'll have peace.
Accept it.
Huh?
Accept
whatever it is. Of course you do your part, but when a test comes from Allah and you remember Allah and you turn to Allah, you repent to Allah, you introspect, what can I do better? I hope I didn't do anything wrong. If I did anything wrong, let me fix it up. As you keep on doing this constant prescription of actions will allow you to strengthen your soul, humble your body, stabilize your mind, and then you'll accept Allah's decree. It is what it is. I've done my part. I've tried. And whatever happens, if it's marriage that goes to divorce, a marriage that gets better, children who become better, children who become worse, children that live, children that die, whatever happens, you accept Allah's decree. That is the peace that you are looking for in other ways that you will not find. So deen will promise your ability with connection through Allah to find acceptance and peace with the decree of Allah. It doesn't promise to solve everything, because if Allah solves everything, then what are we on this earth for? It's a test. And for those of us who complain about our test, know that whatever test you're undergoing now, I'm not saying to quietly be a sheep and accept it. No, you do your part to the best of your ability. But know that whatever test is on you right now, you know it. You understand the density of it. You understand the breadth and the depth of it. You understand it. If you complain about this and tell Allah to remove it, and Allah will bring the next one. And you may not be able to handle that next one as this one is. So what we know and we work with and accept from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not mean accepting the status quo. For example, if there's abuse in a relationship, you don't just say, I accept it for Allah. No, that's wrong. You do your part of preserving your rights and getting mediation and bringing families involved and stuff, but you accept that whatever is going on, the time that's being consumed in this is something from Allah. I will come to terms with it. Not come to terms with abuse, come to terms with this trial and know that what comes forth from it will only be good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You had a question, sister?
How do you know the difference between test and punishment?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish us per se. This is a mentality that we have in our subcontinent culture. Everything is a punishment from Allah. Punishment and rewards are tomorrow. You see, it's all tests and trials, may it be goodness or bad. It's all tests and trials on this earth. Allah says in the Quran that وَإِن مِّن قَرْيَةٍ إِلَّا نَحْنُ مُهْلِكُوهَا قَبْلَ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ أَوْ مُعَذِّبُوهَا عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا. There's not a town on this earth, but Allah will either destroy it or punish it before the day of judgment. These type of things will happen, but we cannot say on individuals everything is a punishment from Allah. And nor should you hurt yourself and say, this is Allah punishing me. If you feel Allah's punishing you, it should take you towards returning to Allah and bettering yourself with Allah, not then despising Allah because of it. So Allah, whatever happens good or whatever happens that we perceive bad in life, both are tests. There's not a single person, I could tell you in my entire career of doing the work I do, there's not a single person that I've met on this earth, but they have tests. You and I may say, oh, they look good, their things are good, their job is good, their money is good, their cars are good. Everyone's in a test. Everyone. There's not a single person who says they're not in a test. So no one's life is perfect. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's test. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us through the test the way He wishes for us and allows us to turn to Him at all times. May they be good in affluent times and good times, times of health and prosperity, or may they be times of tests and trials with adversities and with sickness and with loss. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be connected to Him and only Him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to strengthen our bond with Him. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to become true Muslims and Muslimas for His sake. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakum Allah khairan to all of you. And inshallah, we will